Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So it's Janmashtami tomorrow, celebration of Krishna's appearance day celebration. It's like Hare Krishna, Merry Christmas on steroids. Krishna. So all over the world, celebrations are taking place according to the different time zones to celebrate the appearance of the incarnation of the Lord, Kṛṣṇa, Shri Kṛṣṇa. When Krishna manifests, he doesn't appear alone. Hey, Krishna, Hare Krishna. It's a Godhead. In other words, it's not just Krishna, but in this particular incarnation, Krishna Balarāma. So Krishna and his brother appear. His brother is an expansion of him, expanded from him, for service and pastimes. So Krishna and his brother, it's the Godhead. 5,000 years ago. So last week was a celebration for the appearance of his brother, who's considered older brother. And during those festivities, not different from Krishna. They're Vishnu Tattva, but they act just a little bit differently. Variety. So here in this community, they did some bathing ceremonies, and all kinds of festivities went on, feasting and chanting and plays and pastimes, and all kinds of celebrations, party time. And part of it was the Brahmins, who they're kind of like the head of society, because they focus mainly on studying the scriptures and giving classes, teaching, and maintaining the deity worship standards, nice high standards, clean and on time, offerings being made. And they perform those kinds of functions for the community. So there's a special initiation for someone to enter into that kind of service. It's called Brahminical Initiation. And at that time a mantra is given. It's called the Gayatri Mantra. And it's to be chanted silently 3 times a day, morning, noon, and evening. It's a special mantra for those who have the second initiation. So there was a special ceremony last week for those that had received this Brahmin initiation, but maybe over the years they had become a little lax, or they weren't chanting 3 times a day, or other things where their standards had kind of gotten compromised, just because life is like that. You know, you get distracted. So they had a special fire sacrifice so that those that were Brahmin initiated could reestablish and become strong in their practice again, to become invigorated and enlivened, like getting initiated all over again. Start over, fresh start. So there were special mantras, and several Brahmins were present, and they were eager to take part in that, to get a fresh start, to do their practices nicely. So I'm thinking, boy, this is Krishna's appearance day. We need a special celebration for those devotees that received formal initiation from Prabhupada or someone representing Prabhupada, to help them get strong in they may have slipped in their vows, which is 16 rounds and 4 regulative principles. Over the years, I know they have. It's actually, nobody really talks about it, but I don't know how many initiated disciples are actually chanting 16 rounds. I don't know. I have no idea. Everyone's very friendly and smiling and everything's Hare Krishna, Jai Prabhu, but I don't know, are they actually chanting? I don't know. Nobody talks about it. And the regulative principles: no meat, fish, or eggs, no intoxicants, no gambling, and no illicit sexual activity. Well, that's another one. Nobody talks about it. But everybody, Haribol, Jai, this is a social community here. It's a huge community. It's gigantic. And it's been here for active now over 40 years. And it's impacted the surrounding area as well as hundreds, if not thousands, of devotees that live in this area with their families. And so it's very social. It's a community, a social community. And the mailman has a Sika. I went to the doctor's office the other day, and the woman behind the desk, "Oh, I love the sweet rice." Hare Krishna. You go into the home improvement store, and actually one of the pujaris that serves on the altar, in order to support his family, he's the head of the plumbing department over there. So wherever you go, you're going to bump into a devotee, and it's been good for the area. The local people love it. It's really boosted the economy, especially the pizza place. They're in ecstasy. The devotees love to go and get pizzas, So, but this question of, so, and there's schools, and there's farm projects, and there's cow protection, and there's gardens, and it's really great. It's like flourishing, It really is. There's festivals. It's really a dynamic place. All different types of people. It's like, wow, They're from all over the universe. They've come here, Get your Paka Indian ladies with fancy saris, and then, you got somebody with a long skirt and, tattoos. I mean, it's just, everybody's, like, it's really a dynamic, it's a lot of fun here. It's kind of like, living in New York City, It's like so much going on. But I have to ask, who's actually chanting 16 rounds and following 4 regulative principles? I have a feeling they're very few and far between. It's just a feeling I have. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. So, Janmashtami tomorrow, there's no special ceremony at the temple to help those of us that may have become a little lax in our vows to Prabhupada, promise to Prabhupada, to chant 16 rounds, follow 4 regular principles. There's no special ceremony for us like there was for the Brahmins. So I don't need a special ceremony. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. And like a New Year's resolution, 16 rounds. So yesterday I managed to chant 16 rounds. And it took all day. It took all day. And it's like I think, I'm Krishna conscious, and and I'm happy and everything. But to chant those 16 rounds, the mind was all over the place. It was all over the place. I had to keep bringing it back. It didn't want to come back. And today was a little better, but still it took hours and hours and hours, and the mind was, I had to keep, maybe I'll keep it like a spray bottle with cold water in it, or a wet rag, and like slap myself in the face or something when the mind starts going off. So I was seeing how important it is, really, to hear from a pure source, to hear about Kṛṣṇa from someone who's not adding a whole bunch of other stuff in there, who's speaking nicely on behalf of Srila Prabhupada in the disciplic line. It's like you say, this community, there's thousands and thousands, everybody's Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa. Some have tattoos and they got the long hair, and some are, everybody's in different, everybody's happy about Kṛṣṇa. And there's lots of prasadam that goes out here. Oh my goodness. There's one whole building, it's a giant building that was recently constructed, and it is nothing but a kitchen. It's huge. Huge walk-in, all kinds of sinks, big stainless steel, everything, tile floors. When it's time to clean, they just get the hose and just hose the thing down. Huge, big prasadam distribution goes on here, huge. And Prabhupada would like that. That's wonderful. But who's actually chanting their vow to Prabhupada, 16 rounds? And who's actually speaking nicely for Kṛṣṇa? There's a few. But they're not going to be like, it's not going to be some big dramatic, entertaining discourse. It's not going to be like a vaudeville act or something. It's going to be very sober. Actually, speaking on behalf of Prabhupada, a little sober. It's very sobering. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa. I'm just appreciating the value of that more and more. I've been hearing from a devotee that I'm getting some strength in this area from. They go online 3 or 4 times a week, and they have a sangha, but they're speaking in a way that's helping me to reconnect nicely for hearing and chanting Prabhupada. So that's what I've been working on, and a long way to go still, but I think it's safe to say at least some idea of the direction to go in. Kṛṣṇa. It's like, until I tried chanting these 16 rounds yesterday and today, I actually thought, oh, I'm fine, Yeah, Kṛṣṇa, ha ha ha, everything Kṛṣṇa, And then I tried to chant, which is my vow to Prabhupada, and it was, wow. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Keep bringing the mind back. Kṛṣṇa book. Hey, Haribol. Hey, Lance says he renewed his vows today. Wow. Hare Kṛṣṇa. Sometimes people do that when they've been married for a while. They'll have a special festival, like after they've been married like 25 years. They'll have a party and they'll get married again. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I'm thinking I may have found what I've been looking for a really long time is a Shiksha Guru, which is different from a Diksha Guru. Prabhupada, but a Shiksha Guru, I think I may have found one. I'm going to, be giving it the litmus test over the next little while. But so far, it's very helpful hearing from this devotee in the association of others who are hearing. And I'm also seeing the value. Shiksha is not all that formal. I was asking him about it. I said, so how formal is Shiksha and how does that work? And he's like, asking him, what is it? How does it work? And he says it's not formal. He says Shiksha isn't like a formal thing with a big ceremony. And then it was funny. What he said was, because there was a group of us online, he says, do I dare say it's more a matter of the heart? Do I dare say that? I had to laugh. It was so funny. So, yeah, it's more like that. We get inspired by someone by the way they're speaking Krishna Katha and the way they're practicing, then it's enlivening. And that's what's happening with this other person that I'm hearing from 3 or 4 times a week. And it's not like instead of Prabhupada or something more added because Prabhupada didn't give you everything, so I have to add more. No. It's someone who helps to make the connection even stronger with Prabhupada because of their purity in following Prabhupada. And that's what I see in this person. They're actually following everything, which is amazing. Yeah, so it's inspiring. So Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Phew. Let me read a little something, Krishna book. Summary study of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. It's late at night, everyone's sleeping, and Prabhupada didn't write these books, he spoke them into a dictaphone. This is an oral tradition. This is how this knowledge is passed down. It's passed down orally by speaking and hearing. And that's what these books are. Prabhupada spoke these books. He didn't just sit there with a pen and write, or typewriter. He spoke them. These are sound vibrations. Jai Lance. Okay, Hare Krishna. Right. Yeah, it's rare. I don't know about you, but it's rare to actually be inspired by another devotee. Devotees are very nice. They're beautiful. They have a good time, and it's always bright and cheery. But it's kind of like twinkle, twinkle, little star, It's like there's lots of stars in the sky, and they're all twinkling. It's nice. But when there's a moon, soothing, cooling rays of a moon, not so many of those. Krishna. Yeah. Find a moon or two, you're doing good, you know. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. So this is Lord Kṛṣṇa and Balarāma meet the inhabitants of Vṛndāvana. There was a solar eclipse, a full solar eclipse. It was a very rare occurrence. And everyone was coming from everywhere to bathe and to meet at Kṛṣṇa. And to bathe, there's a river there evidently. Anyway, they're all at Kṛṣṇa. Everyone's come from everywhere. Sages, saints, the residents of Vṛndāvana, the Yadus, all the kings from all the different provinces, everybody's come. And Kunti meets her brother Vasudeva after a very long time, and they share their feelings for each other. And then after the conversation between Vasudeva and Kunti, Vasudeva and Ugrasena received the kings who came to see them, and they sufficiently welcomed them all. Seeing Lord Kṛṣṇa present on the spot, all the visitors felt transcendental pleasure and became very peaceful. Some of the prominent visitors were as follows: Bhismadev, Dronacharya, Dhritarashtra, Duryodhana, Gandhari, along with her sons. She had 100 sons. King Yudhisthira, along with his wife, and the Pandavas, along with Kunti, their mother. Srinjaya, Vidura, Kripacharya, Kunti Bhoja, Virata, King Nagnaji, Parujit, Drupada, Salya, Drishtaketu, the king of Kasi, Damagosh, Vishalaksha, the king of Mithila, the king of Madras, formerly known as Madra, the king of Kekaya, Yudhamanyu, Sushunarma, Balika, along with his sons, and many other rulers who were subordinate to King Yudhisthira. So, seeing Lord Kṛṣṇa present on the spot, all the visitors felt transcendental pleasure. So those were some of the more prominent visitors, and Kṛṣṇa was there, and they were all feeling very transcendental, a lot of transcendental pleasure. Hare Krishna. Christiana, comment. We need the sun that shines its light, even on the moon, and provokes enlightening. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Sun and the moon. Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, it's described that they appeared simultaneously on the horizon. Lord Chaitanya is like the sun, and Nityananda like the moon. They appeared simultaneously. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. When they saw Lord Kṛṣṇa with his thousands of queens, they became fully satisfied at the sight of such beauty and transcendental opulence. Now there's 16,000 queens. I don't know about you, my finite material brain just cannot accommodate the scene of Kṛṣṇa appearing with his 16,108 queens in one spot. I mean, Hare Krishna. Krishna. But when they saw Lord Kṛṣṇa with his thousands of queens, they became fully satisfied at the sight of such beauty and transcendental opulence. All who were there personally visited Lord Balarāma and Kṛṣṇa, and being properly welcomed by the Lord, they began to glorify the members of the Yadu dynasty. Especially Kṛṣṇa, and Balarāma. Because he was the king of the Bhojas, Ugrasena was considered the chief Yadu, and therefore the visitors specifically addressed him. Your Majesty Ugrasena, king of the Bhojas, factually the Yadus are the only persons within this world who are perfect in all respects. All glories unto you, all glories unto you. The specific condition of your perfection is that you're always seeing Lord Kṛṣṇa, who was sought after by many mystic yogis undergoing severe austerities and penances for great numbers of years. All of you are in direct touch with Lord Kṛṣṇa in every moment. All the Vedic hymns are glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I mean, this is God appearing on the earth 5,000 years ago. The Supreme Lord, the cause of all causes, the source of everything, appearing on the earth. And everyone's seeing him, Hare Krishna. So they continue. All the Vedic hymns are glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kṛṣṇa. The Ganges water is considered sanctified because of its being the water used to wash the lotus feet of Lord Kṛṣṇa. The Vedic literatures are nothing but the injunctions of Lord Kṛṣṇa. The purpose of the study of all the Vedas is to know Kṛṣṇa. Therefore, the words of Kṛṣṇa and the message of his pastimes are always purifying. By the influence of time and circumstances, all the opulences of this world had become almost completely wiped out. But since Kṛṣṇa had appeared on the planet, all auspicious features have again appeared due to the touch of his lotus feet. Because of his presence, all our ambitions and desires are gradually being fulfilled. This is happening again today because of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Lord appearing in his holy name in the Sankirtan, performance of the Sankirtan. But since Kṛṣṇa has appeared on the planet, Chaitanya, the Maha Mantra, all auspicious features have again appeared due to the touch of his lotus feet. Your Majesty, King of the Bhojas, you are related with the Yadu dynasty by matrimonial relationship and by blood relationship also. As a result, you are constantly in touch with Lord Kṛṣṇa, and you have no difficulty in seeing him at any time. Lord Kṛṣṇa moves with you, talks with you, sits with you, rests with you, and dines with you. The Yadus appear to be always engaged in worldly affairs which are considered to lead to the royal road to hell, but due to the presence of Lord Kṛṣṇa, the original personality of Godhead, in the Vishnu category, who is omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent, all of you are factually relieved from all material contamination and are situated in transcendental position of liberation and Brahman existence. When they had heard that Kṛṣṇa would be present in Kurukshetra because of the solar eclipse, the residents of Vṛndāvana, headed by Maharaj Nanda, had also decided to go there, and therefore all the members of the Yadu dynasty were attending. King Nanda, accompanied by his cowherd men, had loaded all their necessary paraphernalia on bullock carts, and all of the Vṛndāvana residents had come to Kṛṣṇa to see the beloved sons, Lord Balarāma and Lord Kṛṣṇa. When the cowherd men of Vṛndāvana arrived in Kṛṣṇa, all the members of the Yadu dynasty became most pleased. As soon as they saw the residents of Vṛndāvana, they stood up to welcome them, and it appeared that they had again regained their life. Both had been eager to meet, and when they finally came forward and met, they embraced one another to their heart's satisfaction and remained in embrace for a considerable time. So they have different moods of relationship with Kṛṣṇa, but they're fully respectful of each other and have this wonderful loving feeling for each other, even though their moods of devotion to Kṛṣṇa are very different. As soon as Vasudeva saw Nanda Maharaj, he jumped and ran over to him and embraced him very affectionately. Vasudeva began to narrate his past history. So this is Kṛṣṇa's father, who was imprisoned by Kamsa. He says his past history, how he had been imprisoned by Kamsa, how his babies had been killed, and how immediately after Kṛṣṇa's birth he had carried him to the place of Nanda Maharaj, and how Kṛṣṇa and Balarāma had been raised by Nanda Maharaj and his queen, Yasoda, as their own children. Similarly, Lord Balarāma and Kṛṣṇa also embraced King Nanda and Mother Yasoda, and then offered their respect unto their lotus feet by bowing down. Because of their filial affection for Nanda and Yasoda, both Lord Kṛṣṇa and Balarāma became choked up, and for a few seconds they could not speak. Yeah, they were born in the royal family, but for their safety they were transferred to a simple village and raised by these simple village people with pure affection, as if they were their very own children. The most fortunate King Nanda and Mother Yasoda placed their sons on their laps and began to embrace them to their full satisfaction. Because of separation from Kṛṣṇa and Balarāma, both King Nanda and Yasoda had been merged in great distress for a very long time. Now, after meeting them and embracing them, all their sufferings were mitigated. So this is all in relationship to Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Balarāma. But it's not like they're just ordinary boys that were raised in an ordinary village. It's it's God Himself in this form of, helpless children. We need help. We have to, right? Yes. Hare Krishna. After this, Krishna's mother, Devaki, and Balarāma's mother, Rohini, both embraced Mother Yasoda. See, both Rohini and Devaki, they didn't get to enjoy the childhood pastimes of their children. Kṛṣṇa and Balarāma returned to them when they were already like adolescents, teenagers. They'd already grown up. So Nanda and Yasoda got to enjoy the childhood pastimes of the Lord. So Devaki and Rohini both embraced Mother Yasoda. They said, "Dear Queen Yasoda Devi, both you and Nanda Maharaj have been great friends to us. And when we remember you, we are immediately overwhelmed by the thought of your friendly activities. We are so indebted to you that even if we were to return your benedictions by giving you the opulence of the King of Heaven, it would not be enough to repay you for your friendly behavior. We shall never forget your kindly behavior toward us. When both Kṛṣṇa and Balarāma were born, before they even saw their real father and mother, they were entrusted to your care, and you raised them as your own children, fostering them as birds take care of their offspring in the nest. You have nicely fed, nourished, and loved them, and have performed many auspicious religious ceremonies for their benefit. Actually, they're not our sons. They belong to you. Nanda Maharaj and yourself are the real mother and father of Kṛṣṇa and Balarāma. As long as they were under your care, they had not even a pinch of difficulty. Under your protection, they were completely out of the way of all kinds of fear. This most affectionate care which you have taken for them is completely befitting your elevated position. The most noble personalities do not discriminate between their own sons and the sons of others, and there cannot be any personalities more noble than Nanda Maharaj and yourself. As far as the gopis of Vṛndāvana were concerned, from the very beginning of their lives, they did not know anything beyond Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa and Balarāma were their life and soul. The gopis were so attached to Kṛṣṇa that they could not even tolerate not seeing him momentarily when their eyelids blinked and impeded their vision. They condemned Brahma, the creator of the body, because he foolishly made eyelids which blinked and checked their seeing Kṛṣṇa. Because they had been separated from Kṛṣṇa for so many years, the gopis, having come along with Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yasoda, felt intense ecstasy on seeing Kṛṣṇa. No one can even imagine how anxious the gopis were to see Kṛṣṇa again. Now this is Kṛṣṇa all grown up. He's a king and he has 16,108 queens. He's the king of Dwarka. And Balarāma also. They're mature now. They're mature men. But the gopis are also grown up. So this was from when they were all children. As soon as Kṛṣṇa became visible to them, they took him inside their hearts, through their eyes, and embraced him to their full satisfaction. Even though they were embracing Kṛṣṇa only mentally, they became so ecstatic and overwhelmed with joy that for the time being they completely forgot themselves. The ecstatic trance which they achieved simply by mentally embracing Kṛṣṇa is impossible to achieve even for great yogis constantly engaged in meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kṛṣṇa could understand that the gopis were wrapped in ecstasy by embracing him in their minds, and therefore, since he is present in everyone's heart, he also reciprocated the embracing from within. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa was sitting with Mother Yasoda and his other mothers. He had a lot of mothers. Kṛṣṇa was sitting with Yasoda, with his mother Yasoda and his other mothers, Devaki and Rohini. But when the mothers engaged in talking, he took the opportunity and went to a secluded place to meet the gopis. As soon as he approached the gopis, the Lord began to smile, and after embracing them and inquiring about their welfare, he began to encourage them, saying, "My dear friends, you know that both Lord Balarāma and myself left Vṛndāvana just to please our relatives and family members. Thus, we were long engaged in fighting with our enemies and were obliged to forget you. You, who were so much attached to me in love and affection. I can understand that by this action I have been ungrateful to you. But still, I know you are faithful to me. May I inquire if you have been thinking of us, although we had to leave you behind? My dear gopis, do you now dislike remembering me, considering me to have been ungrateful to you? Do you take my misbehavior with you very seriously? After all, you should know it was not my intention to leave you. Our separation was ordained by Providence, who after all is the Supreme Controller and does as he desires. providence. Who is this providence? And Kṛṣṇa, isn't Kṛṣṇa providence? I don't know. He's blaming it on providence here. He causes the intermingling of different persons and again disperses them as he desires. Sometimes we see that due to the presence of clouds and strong wind, atomic particles of dust and broken pieces of cotton are intermingled together. And after the strong wind subsides, all the particles of dust and cotton are again separated, scattered in different places. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is the creator of everything. The objects which we see are different manifestations of his energies. By his supreme will, we are sometimes united and sometimes separated. We can therefore conclude that ultimately we are absolutely dependent on his will. Fortunately, you have developed loving affection for me, which is the only way to achieve the transcendental position of association with me. Any living entity who develops such unalloyed devotional affection for me certainly at the end goes back home, back to Godhead. In other words, unalloyed devotional service and affection for me are the cause of supreme liberation. So Kṛṣṇa continues on here for a while. He continues to say, "My dear Gopi friends, you may know from me that it is by my energies only which are acting everywhere. You may know that it is my energies which are acting everywhere." The gopis are actually Kṛṣṇa's energy too. Everything is Kṛṣṇa talking to his energies. The gopis, we're Kṛṣṇa's energies. We're part of Kṛṣṇa. We're a certain kind of energy of Kṛṣṇa. All there is Kṛṣṇa and his energies. So he's talking to his energies, gopis, and he's saying, "Know for me that it is my energies only which are acting everywhere. Take, for example, an earthen pot. It is nothing but a combination of earth, water, air, fire, and sky. It is always of the same physical composites, whether in its beginning, during its existence, or after its annihilation. When it is created, the earthen pot is made of earth, water, fire, air, and sky. While it remains, it is the same in composition, and when it is broken and annihilated, its different ingredients are conserved in different parts of the material energy. Similarly, at the creation of this cosmic manifestation, during its manifestation and its maintenance, and after its dissolution, everything is but a different manifestation of my energy. And because the energy is not separate from me, it is to be concluded that I am existing in everything. He's comparing the whole cosmic creation to a pot made out of earth, water, fire, air, ether, and clay. Hare Krishna. In the same way, the body of a living being is nothing but a composition of the five elements. And a living entity embodied in the material condition is also part and parcel of me. The living entity is imprisoned in the material condition on account of his false conception of himself as the supreme enjoyer. It's all about me. There's even a kind of philosophy some people entertain that they're imagining everything, that actually none of it exists. It's just they're imagining everything. Everything's a figment of their imagination. There's a philosophy like that. This false ego of the living entity is the cause of his imprisonment in material existence. as the Supreme Absolute Truth. I am transcendental to the living entity, as well as to his material embodiment. The two energies, material and spiritual, are both acting under my supreme control. My dear gopis, I request that instead of being so afflicted, you try to accept everything with a philosophical attitude. Then you will understand that you are always with me, and that there is no cause of lamentation in our being separated from one another. That's interesting that he's preaching to the gopis like that, to relieve their distress. I don't know if it works. We'll have to see if the gopis, yeah, I looked ahead here, I cheated. Yeah, they got relief. They could understand philosophically what had happened. It doesn't mean they didn't love Kṛṣṇa anymore, because now they philosophically understood, but they got some relief. Yeah, read about that, I think, next time. And, yeah. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa, Viva. Viva. We're trying, we're trying to surrender. Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya.